Okay, since my last video, I have pulled the checks out the back of the keys, and then I've pulled the wires out of the checks as well. So there you go. And as you can see, I've also put the green underfelt, the green check felt on there. Got a nice little set of blank checks now. We've got some new wires for the checks that we're going to put on. They're in there ready. Now the underfelt's fairly self-explanatory. You just cut it to the right thickness and stick it on. But the felt, the leather, on the other hand, is a different matter. We've got these. We're getting down to the scraps now, so the leather's in little bits. And
you put that.
what?
Getting down to the scraps.
We are putting it down to the scraps, though. Look, there's only scrappy little bits, isn't there? It's just because we're getting to the end of his stock. That's all.
Offcuts.
Offcuts, then. Right, we'll call them offcuts. And yeah, we've got the offcuts. With leather, when you're cutting these, little strips that I've made, look, because I've cut them into little strips now, which then go onto there, and they get pulled over, which is very hard to do when I'm doing it one-handed, but they go on like that, and they go over like that. Oh, Martin's coming to make the tea. Yay! Hello, I'm making a video. Don't mind me. So that gets pulled over there like that. Okay, but it's not as simple as all that, because you can't just cut these strips up at random and stick them on any way you like. You've got to test to see which way the leather stretches, because leather...
Which way the nap runs.
No, I haven't got to the nap yet. I've got to the stretch of the leather. You've got to do the stretch of the leather first. So that stretches that way, look. You can see that that is stretchy that way. But if I turn it that way and try and stretch it, it doesn't stretch. Now you want there to be no stretch on the way that's running along the strips like that. You don't want the strips that you cut in to be able to stretch that way. Now they're always going to stretch a little bit because it's leather, but not as much as the other way. So, and that's because the hammer is going to come into contact with there like that and go for over time. And I don't care what anybody says, I'm making these chuffing videos. I don't care. Bloody Martin laughs when I say that bloody sandpaper's awesome. Bloody Phil laughs when I'm on about chuffing leather. I don't bloody know. So anyway, so that's, you don't want the stretch to be on there. So, here we go. I've guillotined them all up. And now I've got the strips to put on there.
We've decided we're not going to give you a good reference, we're going to give you a bad reference.
Now, let me just pause one moment. Okay, right. Sorry, just had to swap hands. Now, this leather is ready to go on there now. But it's still not as simple as all that, because leather has a nap. And if you look at this, well, you can't actually, because it's a video and you can't actually feel it. But you know that way down there, that feels rough. But if I do that way, that feels smooth. And it's because the nap has... The nap has a leather. This is the best video ever. The leather has a nap, you see. And you've got to put this onto the check where the leather will be smooth as it's coming down. And that is because the hammer's going to come down like that, get caught on there, and then get caught on the nap of the leather and not jump out. And that is going to cause great check operation. So there you go. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to glue these on now. The last thing to mention is that you glue them on the top, you glue them on the bottom, but you don't glue them in the middle, because that would be silly, because it's noisy then. So it makes a load of noise and it's not good. So there you go. That's my incredibly professional and amazing video about us putting the offcuts of leather onto the check heads. Ta-da! Stage 1 of the gluing process. Gluing them on the top first. There you go. They're like little miniature Easter Island heads, aren't they? All with Donald Trump's hairstyle. And now the final stages. That's what they were. That's in the middle of gluing. And finally, that's what they end up looking like. Not a bad job. And now the hammer's going to come into there, check on there, which is why it's called checks. Lovely. Yeah. Ta-da! Here you go, look, just a quick video to show you the completed checks. Now with brand new check wires screwed into them. It was actually easier than I thought it was going to be. I thought the check wires might have a different thread, but now they've all screwed up, all tight and everything. So there you go, that's the finished product, all glued down and everything. So there we go, and that's ready for screwing back onto the keys, which we're going to do at a later date because we're going to get all the rest of the action set up so that we can set the height of these to the hammers, which might be slightly different. So there you go, put them all in there ready, put the lid on, and they've oh bless me, and then they'll either be put on the piano or used to wash some clothes, depending on where I store this. Okay, so can you guess what these things are for? Well, I am now doing the key bushings for this piano, and the bushings are there and also on the front of the keys underneath where you can't see at the moment. On this piano they are ridiculously thin. It was really thin leather that was on the side of that hole there. That's what I'm talking about. There's usually a thin bit of felt there and a thin bit of felt there. On this particular piano it was leather and it was really thin. You can't even get that leather as far as we're aware from anywhere. So you usually use bushing cloth or leather. On this piano, even the thinnest bushing cloth that's available is too thick, so we're using bearing cloth, and we thought, being as the rest of the piano is green, we'll use the green bearing cloth. Ta-da! And these things here, what you do with these is you pick one of them up, you fold a strip of this felt over there, and then you use one of those to push into the top, and it holds it in place while the glue sets. And that's why with these few here that I've already done, they've got there while the glue is setting, and after it's done, I'll show you one of the done ones underneath. That is what you end up with. Now I am intrigued to see how this goes on, see what it feels like. I don't think I've ever done a keyboard with bearing cloth before, so we'll see how this turns out. It is ridiculously thin. What I'd have liked to have done is to make these holes slightly larger in order to put a slightly thicker felt in, but it's going to be tricky either way, especially because we've replaced all the old pins in the keyboard with newer ones, or we will be doing when we order the stuff from the catalogue from the supply company. By the way, if it seems a little bit sporadic as to you know, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing something over there, I'm doing bits on dampers, I'm doing bits on keys, it is a little bit sporadic, but we generally do little bits here and there, you know, depending on what we're doing, depending on what parts we've already got and what parts we need from the supply company. We tend to do as much as we possibly can. I'm still focusing on them. Hello, you see my face now. Yeah, we tend to do as much as we possibly can before we send the order off to the supply company, so that we know exactly what we need, because it's not until you've worked on a piano for several weeks that you know, I need this or I need that, or we haven't got any of that left, and then we send it all off of the big bulk order, so that we're not wasting money by sending a load of little orders. So if you're wondering why it's a little bit sporadic, and you know, one day I'm doing this, next day I'm doing that, and you're thinking, but he's not finished the dampers, that's why it's a little bit confusing, a little bit all over the place. But trust me, it all comes together in the end, and it's all it all works out, hopefully. So I'll be doing these for the rest of the afternoon, and hopefully some of the top ones as well. I'll try and remember to make a video about me putting the top ones in, because that's quite a cool system. Well, I say it's cool. I mean, these whole videos, they're all just nerdy me being nerdy, aren't they? I mean, I doubt whether many people are even going to have got to this point in the videos where they've gone, oh, I made another one of them things. Ignore. Because it's only me being a nerd that I find all this kind of stuff interesting. But I'll carry on making these videos until we've done the till we get to the end. So yeah, I'll carry on, and yeah, hopefully I'll remember to film every step of the process. Apart from the trade secrets.